Magic the Gathering is a game that features a vast and continuous multiverse of stories set across countless planes and that incorporates numerous themes. One of those themes is horror. With the beginning of October, so begins our countdown to Halloween. 30 days, 30 decks, 30 different creatures of the night, all culminating with a special 31st episode on Halloween Day itself. For those of you with a profound fascination of the macabre, I invite you to join me on this venture through 30 days of night. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm MTG Budget Brew, and welcome to day 22 of our 30 days of night. At this point in time, Magic the Gathering is over 32 years old. And during that time, one of the main villains within the universe did not officially exist for 27 years, despite having an entire plane named after them. In 1994, with the release of the Antiquities expansion, the MTG universe depicted for the very first time the plane of Phyrexia. These villainous monsters have since returned to Magic numerous times, but they did not exist as a creature type until February of 2021, when the set of Kaldheim was released. It took 27 years for the creature type to exist, and Magic has since gone back to errata a lot of the old cards to include the Phyrexian typing. But you know what's really wild? I bet you can't tell me the very first card that was printed with Phyrexian as a creature type on it, and I promise you it's a card that you've seen numerous times. I have Skrelv pulled up with it filtered to every Phyrexian card, printed in paper and in order of release date. The very first card that has the word Phyrexian printed on it as a creature type is none other than Vorinclex Monstrous Raider. As you can see when I scroll up, none of the creature cards listed before it say Phyrexian in the creature type. Not even the original Praetor cards, like Shieldred Whispering One. All of these cards had Phyrexian added later to it in the errata. As you can see here, when I click on Shieldred, is now listed as legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. And as I scroll down, you'll see that all of the new cards do say Phyrexian in the creature type, ignoring Sarcomite Mirror, which was a Time Spiral remastered card. But all the new Phyrexian cards do now say Phyrexian in the creature type. Yeah, I thought that was super wild. I never would have guessed that the first card that says Phyrexian on it would come from Kaldheim of all sets. Like, it just seems so random. And it looks pretty random. Vorinclex was the only Phyrexian in that set. But anyway, as you can probably guess by now, we are playing a Phyrexian deck today. So let's go take a look at that. Today's deck was built around the card Skrelv's Hive. It is 1 in a white for an enchantment that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and this token can't block. It also has Corrupted, which says, as long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, creatures you control with Toxic have lifelink. Now, even though Skrelv's Hive is the 4 rares that we're running for today's deck, the card I really built the deck around was Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive. It is 1 in a blue for a 1/3 human rogue that says creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. One of the first times I saw this card, I thought to myself, wow, you know what has a lot of small creatures? Toxic cards, specifically Phyrexian Might tokens. And from there, I decided to combine the two. The other Phyrexian cards we're running are a full playset of Crawling Chorus, Jawbone Duelist, 3 copies of Annex Sentry, 4 copies of Charge of the Mites, and 3 copies of Flensing Raptor. I'm then running 4 copies of Contentious Plan as a way to proliferate, as well as draw a card. And same with Experimental Augury, it will allow us to look at the top 3 cards of our library, put one of them into your hand, and then we proliferate. This helps us to find Tetsuko, as well as to get all 10 poison counters that we need on our opponent to win the game. Finally, we're running a little bit of cheap removal in the deck in the form of 4 copies of Ossification. The mana base that we're running is a simple 10 plains, 8 islands, and 4 copies of Port Town for a total of 22 lands, because the average cost for our deck is only 2.2, so it's very, very low. We don't need a lot of lands. This deck list I actually built a very, very long time ago, over 2 years ago, and I even have a very old video of it on my YouTube channel that you don't need to go back and watch. So I didn't play a lot of testing decks with this list because I already know that it works. I did play 2 quick games as a refresher for the deck. There's a little warm up. I won both, and you guys will see that at the end of the video when I show you my untapped account stats for this deck. But with that said, let's go hop into some matches because this intro has been very long. All right, guys, here we are in game number 1. Our opening hand is not perfect, but it's definitely doable. So we're gonna keep this. I don't love the fact that we don't have access to blue mana yet, but the 3 white cards we have in hand, they're pretty good ones. So turn 1, we're going to start with a Crawling Chorus. It's 1 white for a 1/1 Phyrexian horror with Toxic 1 that says, when this dies, create a 1/1 might. This is fun. Our opponent just played Dimir Spybug. It is a blue and a black for a 1/1 insect with flying and menace that says, whenever you surveil, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. I like surveil. I think it's a very, very good keyword. And Dimir Spybug, it's a fun card. Anyway, we're going to play out Skrelv's Hive. So now at our upkeep, we'll start making 1/1 mites. And here I'm just going to swing in with Crawling Chorus. I don't think they block here. I think they take the hit, and we'll get 1 poison counter on them to start. And I predicted correctly. They take the 1. All right, they play Night Veil Sprite. 2 mana, 1/2 flying. Whenever this creature attacks, surveil 1. Barrier of Bones is concerning. It's a big, beefy defender. It's a 0/3 defender. When this creature enters, surveil 1. And we're saved by the top deck. Finally, find an island. So now we'll be able to get down Tetsuko and make our creatures unblockable. Because we know we have this in hand already, I know for sure I'm playing Crawling Chorus this turn, but now I need to decide whether or not I want to use Ossification or just go ahead and use Experimental Augury. We do already have 1 poison counter on our opponent, so this Proliferate won't go to waste, which is nice. So I think I will start with this. Cast Experimental Augury. Do I need 4 mana for next turn, or do I want an Experimental Augury? I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to take another Experimental Augury. We will Proliferate 1 on our opponent. They're up to 2 toxic counters. I will drop another Crawling Chorus, say no attacks, end the turn. It was very greedy of me. Not taking a land was very, very greedy, but I am okay with that. Like I said, this deck, it doesn't need a lot of lands. Ew, really? Why? I just played Hostage Taker. So they got to exile another target creature or artifact until this creature leaves the battlefield. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. And mana of any type can be spent to cast this spell. Or that spell. They stole one of our Crawling Choruses. We do find another land, which is nice and exactly what I was expecting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast Ossification. We are going to exile their Hostage Taker. We get our Crawling Chorus back, which is nice. And we get to play Tetsuko and swing for 2 unblockable damage / poison counters. Now our opponent's up to 4 poison counters, and that's pretty good. And even if our opponent has removal for this Tetsuko, we have another one in hand. They're going to murder one of our mites. That is just the wrong call. That's so weird. Why would you not kill Tetsuko? On the attack, they got to surveil 1 more, and their Dimir Spybug went up to a 4/4. Also, we're down to 6 life. Normally a concern, but thankfully the Corrupted on our Skrelv's Hive is active, which says as long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, creatures you control toxic have lifelink. So we'll be able to gain 3 life here, which will be very, very nice because our face is kind of hurting. I'm gonna cast Experimental Augury here. We're gonna get to look at the top 3. I'm going to grab Charge of the Mites. We will Proliferate our opponent up to 5 poison counters. Play a land for turn. Go to combat. Swing our 3 toxic creatures. Put 3 more poison counters on our opponent. We gain 3 life. We're up to 9. And I will end the turn. Charge of Mites is an instant that says choose 1. Charge of Mites deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. Or create 2 1/1 Phyrexian Mites. So I'm just going to hold that for our opponent's end step. I may try to use it right now to kill Dimir Spybug. We'll see what our opponent's last card is first. They're looking at Tetsuko. They're going to cast Price of Fame. Destroy target creature, surveil 2. So before the surveil happens and our opponent's Spybug gets more counters, I will use Charge of Mites to deal 5 damage to the Spybug. That will die. Then Tetsuko will die and our opponent will get to surveil 2. And that's a good game. All right. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, people. That was good. That was a good match. That was clean. And our opponent was running a cool deck, which I respect them for. I actually own a Dimir Surveil deck in paper. Like I have physical copies, a full playset of Dimir Spybug. All right, good game 1. All right, guys, here we are in game number 2, and our opening hand looks very nice, very nice. Turn 1, we will start with another Crawling Chorus. We really, really want this to connect with our opponent's face right now. Nice, we do. That is amazing because that makes our turn 2 play so much better now. We're going to cast Contentious Plan, which says Proliferate, draw a card. If we hadn't dealt any damage yet, that Proliferate would be doing nothing. I'm glad it did not go to waste. Next turn, we're going to play Flensing Raptor. It's a 3 mana 2/2. Oh, maybe we're not. Just kidding, we're not going to play Flensing Raptor. We're going to play out Skrelv's Hive because our opponent just played Seam Rip. An enchantment that says when it enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls a mana value 2 or less until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. And they got rid of our Crawling Chorus. Flensing Raptor, though, is a 3 mana 2/2 flying toxic 1 Phyrexian bird that says when this creature enters, another target creature you control with toxic gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. That surprise bit of flying being given to another toxic creature is very useful. It's definitely helped me close out some games in the past. Our opponent just played 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance. When it attacks, Surveil 1. Another opponent with cards that say Surveil. How interesting. We're gonna cast Experimental Augury. We're gonna look at the top 3 cards of our library. We have the opportunity to grab Tetsuko. I think I will go ahead and do that. We'll proliferate our opponent's up to 3 poison counters. That's nice. That means our Corrupted is activated on Skrelv's Hive. And I'm going to play another Experimental Augury. And we're going to grab a second Skrelv's Hive. That's pretty nice. We're about to start making 2 mites every upkeep. All right, this is starting to get a little annoying. Our opponent just played Sheltered by Ghosts. When it enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield. They stole our Hive. And then they put Kaya's Ghost form onto the Fear of Surveillance. So when it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So they would get back their creature. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to play a new Hive. And I am going to play the Flensing Raptor here. When it enters, we'll give our Might flying, swing 2 in the air. We will gain 2 life, put a poison counter on our opponent, and end the turn. There is no way they just exiled a 3rd thing from my board. Trapped in the screen, 3 mana, Ward 2. When this enchantment enters, exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment an opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. My goodness. We just top decked Ossification. We're going to go ahead and use that. We're going to exile their Fear of Surveillance. It's going to cost 2 mana. Make sure the auto tapper leaves white available for me. We get our Hive back. Corrupted is active for our board again. I will play a Crawling Chorus. Go to combat. Swing 2 in the air. We gain 2 life, set our opponent to poison counter number 6. Hopefully, our opponent will stop exiling our Hive. They did not. They played a 3-mana 2/3 with Menace. Enchantment creatures you control have Menace. Whenever 1 or more enchantment creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, exile a random creature card from that player's library, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 1/1 enchantment creature. Very annoying. They stole a copy of our Jawbone Duelist, which is a 1/1 with double strike and toxic 1. Very, very annoying. Let's see, if I swing in the air, we can set our opponent to 7. I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to swing in the air, set our opponent to 7, end the turn, and I'm going to hold up Tetsuko. I want them to think that they have more time. Our opponent plays Hopeful Eidolon, 1 mana, 1/1 lifelink. It has Bestow, but he did not bestow it to anything. He plays Fear of Lost Teeth, 1 mana, 1/1. When this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target and you gain 1 life. And they put Kaya's Ghost form on the Fear of Ridicule. On this attack, they get to Surveil 1. They steal another Jawbone Duelist with the Fear of Ridicule. They steal a 3rd Jawbone Duelist. And this is game over. We drop Tetsuko, and he can't block any of our creatures with Toxic. Say good game, set him to 11 poison counters and 11 life, and we make it out of there. That was a little bit rough. Our opponent had a lot of removal. Something they did not have a lot of, though, was lands. They got stuck on 3 lands, and I feel no sympathy for them. They exiled 3 of our things. They exiled our enchantment twice. 2 times it happened. Anyway, good job, deck. We did it. All right, guys, here we are in another game. We're going first. We have a 1-drop. We have access to both colors of mana. Things are looking good. Turn 1, Crawling Chorus. Yo, honestly, Crawling Chorus, it's been a homie. We've had it on turn 1 for all 3 of our games so far, right? This is concerning. That is a sliver. Sliver decks are incredibly fast. We are not incredibly fast. On average, we need to have 7 or 8, maybe even 9 of our creatures connect with our opponent's face. 9 separate hits. That is not something that is done quickly. For turn 3 play, we're going to play out the Jawbone Duelist. Swing just with a Crawling Chorus and pass. I am going to hold up Tetsuko potentially as a blocker, but if they play out the Sliver that gives their whole board flying, it might not matter. That's white mana. That's what they need for the flying one. Okay? That gives them Vigilance. It's fine. Okay, no blocks. We're going to take 4 damage here. That hurts. Second Jawbone Duelist is pretty good. What's really nice about the Jawbone Duelist, it has double strike, which means we'll get to put 2 poison counters on it, on our opponent, every time it connects. Did I have fun in the match? Sure, I guess. It was over a little bit quickly. On this next attack, we were going to add 3 poison counters to our opponent. Jawbone Duelist was going to connect 2 times with double strike and Crawling Chorus was going to connect for the third. That would have set our opponent up to 5. We were then going to cast Contentious Plan, Proliferate, draw a card, set our opponent up to 6. And I think from there, our chances of winning were pretty good. Our opponent would have had to kill us on their next turn. Their next combat, they would have had to kill us. And they only had 7 damage on board. We had 16 life. It was going to be really close if they could give their slivers flying. But if not, we had that game in the bag. All right, here we are in game number 4. This will probably be our last game. And our opening hand, it is okay. It's really going to be dependent on whether or not we can get Jawbone Duelist down on turn 2 and have it deal damage on turn 3. If it does not connect for any damage, then the rest of our hand is not doing much. Our opponent started with a River Churn Monument. Oh, we're getting milled. Okay, this is not unlike our sliver game. We have to go quickly. Because our opponent's playing mill, I don't think we have to worry about blockers, so I don't need to get Tetsuko down. I think the better thing to do is get down the Flensing Raptor, develop another toxic creature. We're going to swing here, connect for 4 damage, but more importantly, put 2 poison counters on our opponent. We're down to 46 cards in our library. They're eyeing both of our creatures. They just cast Disturbing Conversion. Oh man, this card's good and really wrecks us. This says enchanted creature gets -X/-0 over X the number of cards in that controller's graveyard. Jawbone Duelist now cannot deal any damage. Okay, I'm going to play Contentious Plan, Proliferate, draw a card. Skrelv's Hive it's not terrible, it's not bad. Swing out, put 1 more poison counter on our opponent. They're at 4. We have 40 cards in our library, down to 38. All right, our opponent plays Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. Wait, why would you run this? This is the wrong Jace to run. This is the self-mill Jace. This is the one that says if you draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game. If you're trying to mill your opponent, you should be running the, like, Phyrexian Jace. Yeah, Jace, the Perfected Mind. The one that has a -X that says target player mills 3 times X cards. Interesting choice. Anyway, I'm going to... Is there anything that if I draw matters before I go to combat? I'm going to start with Experimental Augury. We'll look at the top 3 cards of our library, put 1 into our hand. Oh, it's terrible. It's 2 Tetsukos and a Plains. That was bad. All right, we're going to play Contentious Plan. We're going to Proliferate, draw a card. It puts our opponent up to 6 poison counters. Go to combat. Flensing Raptor will put them to 7. We're at 31 cards left in our library, down to 29. It's close. This is getting very, very much down to the wire. Man, if our Jawbone Duelist had just been able to connect 1 more time. Our opponent plays Witness Protection. Our Flensing Raptor is now a 1/1 green and white legitimate business person with no abilities. We're down to 25 cards in our library, down to 23. I think we would need to top deck into 2 more Proliferate cards. Charge of Mites is not it. We can use this to deal damage to try and kill Jace. Is that even enough? Charge of Mites would not be enough. Even if we play Flensing Raptor first, this can only deal 5 damage, so we can't even destroy the Jace. I think all we're going to do is play out the Flensing Raptor, swing with his 2/2 Might, put our opponent up to 8 poison counters, and hope they don't kill us here. I'll cast Charge of Mites at their end step to get 2 more 1/1 Mites. Oh man, and that's just game. I didn't bother reading this card, but they just used the Exhaust ability on River Churn Monument. Exhaust, which says you can activate this only once. Pay 4 mana, tap this. Any number of target players, each mill cards equal to the number of cards in their graveyard. So we're both going to mill equal to our graveyard. We only have 20 cards left in our library. We have 27 cards in our graveyard. And that is game over. I'll put a stop at my upkeep. It's not going to do anything. But screw it. Why not? So close. See, literally, if Jawbone Duelist had been able to connect literally 1 more time, we could have won that game. But my turn. At our upkeep, we'll make another 1/1. I'm going to flash in 2 more 1/1s. And we go to draw step and die. Dang. Were we on the draw that game? We were. If we had been on the play, we win that game. That's crazy. All right, that was a good 4th game, though. Still weird to me, though, that he's running this Jace. I get that the River Churn Monument, the exhaust part, it mills the original caster as well. But, like, why? He should run the other Jace. Perfected Mind. That's the one you want. All right, guys, here we are on my untapped account. As you can see, with this deck list, I am 5-1 with an 83% win rate, 100% on the play, 75% on the draw. Yeah, out of the 6 games that we played, we were on the draw for 4 of them, and we still managed to only lose 1 of those games. I think that's pretty good. The deck, it's solid, man. It's just solid. I think this is one of the more interesting ways that you could build a toxic deck, and I think it is a very neat way to make use out of Tetsuko's pretty unique ability. But that's going to wrap things up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my Azorius Phyrexian Might deck. So with that said, if you liked the video, you should like the video. If you liked me, the video, and you like Magic the Gathering, you should consider subscribing to the channel because that will get you more of all three. And thank you again for joining me on day 22 of our 30 Days of Night. I hope to see you guys tomorrow.